Hi, everybody. This is Tony from Music Legacy International. Today's guest is Heidi Aderman. She's a wonderful artist and somebody that can truly help our members with their careers. So I'd like to introduce Heidi Aderman. Hi, Heidi. How are you?
Hey,
Welcome to the
I'm
show.
good.
Good, good.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Finally get to talk with you live. So that's a good thing. So some of the
Yeah, we've
things
just been
that,
chatting back and forth a little bit.
yeah. Some of the things that you've told me so far seem very interesting, and I think can help a lot of people in the music and arts industry. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing with your business?
Sure. So I'm going to go way back. In third grade, I decided that I was going to be a rock star. And my loving family thought maybe, that's not such a good idea. Maybe I should find a real job. And even though they supported me in music, I mean, I sang in choirs and in church, and I was in plays and musicals, and anything music I could do, I was all over it. And it was just that I kind of had it in my head that it was going to be too hard to work in the music industry. But as I got older, I still had this desire and I pursued it anyway. And what I discovered was that it was difficult because I was trying to do my full-time job and I was trying to have time to create and write music and have practices and then go and book shows and then go play those shows. And oh, I might have worked 50 hours that week before we went and played that show that weekend. And I found myself sitting in my recliner with my to-do list for my band, and I had time scheduled to work on this stuff, but I didn't have the energy. And so I was feeling very frustrated. And finally, I just Googled my frustrations out and I typed, why am I not doing the things that I know I should be doing to be successful in the areas I want to be? Because I'm smart and I'm capable. I run other people's businesses. So why couldn't I run my own music business? And that's when I discovered a life coach for the first time. I was 27 years old and I had no idea that the things that my parents and family were saying to me back then about the music industry being so difficult, how that was going to affect my decisions later on. And it was so bad that the whole time I'm like, oh, I want to be a rock star. I want to be a rock star. So when I finally talked to this life coach, he says, well, I'm looking at your social media pages and I see all these pictures of you on stage. And you said you were doing songwriting and stuff, right? Well, yes. Well, he said, I don't know why you're saying I want to be a rock star. You're already doing all of the things that a rock star would do. So why aren't you giving yourself credit for what
Yeah,
you've accomplished at this point? So that was the real major turning point for me when I realized that there were a lot of stories I was telling myself that was making it a lot harder for me to accomplish stuff. And so as soon as I started working through some of these beliefs and realizing that I could just change my mind and believe something else, a lot of times it was just that quick to turn around and my actions were different. And so one of the biggest things that I learned was that thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. So if you put a negative thought at the beginning of that, you'll probably end up with a negative outcome. And if
like
you put a
shooting
positive
yourself in
thought
the
at the
foot.
beginning of that, yes,
Yeah,
it's so crazy because once my eyes were kind of open to this, I realized that whatever you believe about yourself, other people, or the situation that you're in becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then
very
it's
true.
like, whoa. So that means that I have 100% full control of what I can create in my life. So that
Yeah.
means the talent that I have to take a song and, just take some words and some notes and turn it into a song. I can use that same skill and with some clarity on what it is that I want the outcome to be, I can start to put together all the pieces of the puzzle to finally get there. So, I started talking to my other friends about this when I started learning about it, and I realized that there were a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that didn't really understand this whole process of how we think and how we get certain results in our lives. And that was when there was a big show that I got to open for Power Man 5000. I was very, very excited about this. And I was backstage hanging with them as peers rather than just fangirl that got backstage. And I was picking their brains about how do they tour and how do they manage all of this stuff? How do they balance all the stuff that I couldn't figure out at that point. And one of them said to me, well, we all work jobs from the road. And all of a sudden that clicked with me. And that was the spark that gave me the idea that not only could I impact people through my music and writing about some of the things that I used to believe and what the outcomes of that were, which I think a lot of people will relate to, but I also could be a teacher and teach people some of these emotional intelligence concepts that we really should have been taught in school, but
Exactly.
it wasn't important. And if I look back at what skills that I've built over the years that have helped me out in the music industry, resilience is number one. And that comes from muscle up here.
Yep. Focus.
So what we were talking about is now I have this really cool mastermind, and you can choose to join for 8 weeks or go through the full year transformation. And there's reason for that, because if you're going to build a new habit, it's going to take you at least 8 weeks of practicing it before it's going to lock in and it's going to actually stick and you're going to keep doing it. And in this group, you kind of have other people that just started with you. So you have these accountability partners and running mates who are all kind of having different aha moments about themselves. And this becomes really interesting because you get to learn about other people's personalities that it is not really part of your personality. And that teaches you a way to communicate with them better and vice versa. And it really expands your ability to have empathy for other people. It expands your curiosity, which is great when you're collaborating with people, because instead of being like, no, I want that part to be just this way, we can't change it. No, I will not entertain the idea of hearing what the other part sounds like. you know, opens you up to being more explorative about your creativity.
Right. And
And
someone else's personality has to be approached a certain different ways. If you have people with different personalities to present them with things, you need to present it in different ways to get a positive reaction.
exactly.
Yeah.
And for us as creatives to work together, I think like this piece about how do we communicate without triggering other people's saboteurs. Because it's actually pretty cool. Like your negative voices in your head. The judge is the most popular one. Everybody's got the judge. The judge judges yourself, like, oh man, I'm never any good at this or whatever. Judges other people, or judges the situation. And so sometimes when you're being judgmental towards somebody's art, that triggers their judgment. And now you have an impasse. Like, there's just going to be blocking heads. So,
Hmm.
what we're learning in this 8 weeks is how do you break that, interrupt that thought pattern, and then get back over to the creative side of your brain where you can kind of figure out and innovate through your differences.
Yeah, that's definitely a skill that has to be developed. It's something that you
And what
have to
else I
work
love
on.
about this, I had tried to develop some stuff when I first started as a coach, because I do love creating things, all kinds of things. Um, but I came across this program called Positive Intelligence, and Dr. Shirzad Shazim is the creator of this, and he wrote a book with all of his research. So he spent years of research, case studies, and now we have like NFL teams that are doing this stuff. And we've got big companies that are doing this stuff, and tons of coaches around the world that are practicing. And there's a fun little app, and you get to talk to all of these people through the app in the community as well. So it's really cool to see how many insights you can get from other people that are practicing this. And I think it's kind of funny that we have acting coaches, and that seems pretty normal. And we have NFL coaches, and that seems pretty normal, or any sport for that matter. But why wouldn't music artists also have a coach to help them through the stuff that gets them stuck? Because the stuff that gets us stuck most of the time is the stuff that's going on in our heads. So without an outside perspective of someone that has the experience to guide you through that situation, you might be stuck there for a long time. And that's what happened to me in my story. I spent a really, really long time trying to figure all this out. And that's why I feel very passionate about helping other people get through this as quickly as possible so that we can hear what your creation is.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important. Very important. That's why I'm very excited to have you part of Music Legacy International. I think that you're going to be a ignition for a lot of artists to bring them to where they want to be. And I'm very glad to have you with us. So now
I
tell us
love that
about
you
your
use
music
that
a little.
word because I love that you use that word because Opportunity Igniter is one of my titles.
Oh, that's right. I remember seeing that. It was probably subconsciously in there.
Well, okay, my music. So in Wisconsin, I started with metal bands because if you haven't been in Wisconsin, you might not know that there's a pretty nice metal scene that goes on in Wisconsin. Um, which, we've got to do something because it's frozen most of the time. So, my favorite band of all time is the Foo Fighters, and I'm a 90s alternative grunge kind of girl. But when I got it out of college and in my 20s, and I'm like, I need to find a band. It was a metal band that I stumbled into. And I was actually just going to hear my friend play. He's like, come on, come over and check out my new band. So I'm like, okay. And they were auditioning a singer. And I don't know if I was like maybe like mumbling too loud in the corner or something. I don't know how you can mumble too loud over metal music, but like
Yeah.
the guitar player on the break is like, you're a singer? Well, get up there and sing then. And I'm like, okay, well, can you guys play something I know? And they're like, no, you will just sing to what we play you. And I'm like, okay. So I did. I just made some stuff up on the spot and sang along. And after the song was over, he's like, can you come back next week? So that is how it all began for me. And I was in numerous metal bands in Wisconsin, and the last one was called Mast. And Mast like a sailboat.
Hmm.
And we got together January of 2014, knowing that I was going to move to Jacksonville, Florida at the end of the year. And so the two guys in this group with me are really good friends. And the drummer, in fact, is the same drummer that invited me to practice and got me into that first band. So it means a lot to me to be in this group with these two guys. And we wrote 8 songs. We recorded them all. We released our CD in August of that year. We played 36 shows. One of those was the show with Power Man 5000. And then I moved to Florida. But since then, every time I go home to visit friends and family, we try and do a show, a little reunion show here and there. So we've done
Excellent.
2 in the last 10 years since I've left. So
All right.
we're still kind of together. We're working on some songs very slowly, but we've got some
Good.
songs we're working on.
Yeah, there's a special
And then
connection you
besides that, I've
have.
got a producer. Oh yeah, for sure. Like those guys are my brothers. They're my music brothers, and nothing is ever going to break that bond that we have.
Yeah.
But I'm working with a producer here in Florida, and we've got about 3 songs. I'm hoping one of them is going to be ready to release this year. It's not as heavy as what Mast is. It's a little bit more maybe southern rock with some 90s alternative influences. I don't really know. I haven't really had a lot of people listen to it yet, so I'm excited. I'm almost to the stage where I'm going to start letting people hear it.
Well, I hope you'll
So
post it on the timeline in Music Legacy International in the community platform.
I most certainly will.
That would be great, yeah. And when you get it up on YouTube, one of the great things about what we're doing is we've got hundreds of people worldwide in there already, and we haven't even started advertising yet. It's just word of mouth. And what's great, what I'm trying to get everybody to do is when you post something, not only like it in Music Legacy, but if it's on YouTube, go to YouTube, like and subscribe. And can you imagine if we all did that, the power that that could have to advancing the views that our members would get? That would be a great thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Since I've been reaching out more and more to people in the music industry, people just send me music all the time, which I love.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I really don't like doing is finding new music because the algorithms have me so pegged for, you know, what I normally listen to. So I like to get outside of my music box. So I love it when people are sending me their different kinds of music. And what I was thinking about doing, for all those people that are on YouTube, is just starting to make a playlist, like of everybody who sent me music, so I can go back and find those songs and enjoy them again. That's the other thing. I'm so disorganized with my music. I kind of miss the days of CDs.
I do. Or some type of media that you can, the streaming is killing artists, I think.
Yeah. And well, I hear like vinyl and stuff is coming back, so that could be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Anything, anything like that is great for an artist. So now, what are your next steps with your business or with your career? What are you most excited about?
Well, I am super excited to find 96 music industry professionals that would like to go through my resilience mastermind with me this year, because I can only imagine what 96 creative people are going to accomplish with this knowledge. So I'm very, very excited about that. But I'm also excited because I'm working on a bunch of different collaborations this year that are kind of bigger than myself projects.
Good, good. That's excellent. That's a fantastic goal, and it sounds like you're really into what you're doing. And I am very into learning more about what you do. So we have to talk more even after this interview to figure out how we could get this happening. Something that I'd like to get you involved with is we're working on what we're calling a bridging tool that's going to help the artist discover what their next steps are in order to bring them closer to their ultimate goals. And it sounds like you already have a lot of that figured out. So, and we're calling it a bridging tool because I know you're new, maybe you haven't heard, but in November we started a collaboration with Drake Media, which is the local CBS affiliate here in New York. And it's evolved into a lot of great things. We just started work on a new music television show called The Bridge. So our bridging tool is going to be what's going to be used to get them to that goal of being on the show and bringing their careers to the next level. So hopefully you could be part of that as well. That would be a great thing.
That sounds awesome because it's like one of my favorite puzzles to work on. You know, you bring somebody in and they're like, well, I've tried this, this, and this is what's happened so far. And you get them talking a little bit more about what they've worked on. And there's kind of like all of these foundational steps that we don't all know about because we're not business owners. And quite frankly, like it's more fun to make music than it is to learn about business sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to be able to say, hey, have you thought about this? And see someone's eyes just light up because they hadn't thought about that before. And now they have like a whole new avenue to go down and experiment with and see if maybe that was the piece that they were missing.
Right. Yeah, and not only that, some people just don't want to do certain things, and that's what I'm focusing on in Music Legacy. There are people who probably love to do those things and want to do it for you.
Yes.
So we've got to bring those people together, and that's another one of the little concepts that we're trying to make happen. And you know, eventually,
I think that is a huge challenge, is that connection piece. I talk about it a lot. How do you find people to collaborate with? And then, you know, how do you know they're the right people to collaborate
right.
with? Because sometimes, you know, you might be looking for a guitar player like forever and you just pick like this guy because finally somebody showed up. But
Yeah.
maybe you should keep looking. Like, don't settle if your goals aren't aligned. If that guy just wants to hang out and play in the basement, doesn't want to go play shows, then, and you want to go play shows, it's going to be a conflict interest when you book the first
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually experienced that myself, so I know what that feels like.
Yeah, I think that's how I learned that lesson. It was the hard way. And so I was
Yeah.
like, oh. But then it was through other coaches that said, you know what? You don't have to do this anymore. Make a list of what you want in the
Yeah.
person that you're collaborating with and go find that and don't settle. And I
Right.
started doing that, and I really don't have a lot of drama or like differences in collaboration that make me upset like I used to. So it works.
Yep. Yeah. A big part of it is you just have to focus and know what you want and what you need. And if something's not working, you have to be willing to change your direction, change who you're collaborating with, change who you're mentoring with, whatever it takes. If you really want, you know, what you want, that's it.
It's true.
So
And sometimes
now,
I think that when people hear the word change, they think it has to be this big thing, but it doesn't. It could just be something that you start doing for 1 minute a day that can make all the difference.
yeah, tell us a little bit about how somebody would connect up with you, other if they're not a Music Legacy member.
So, I shared with you a link, and I actually made a little assessment this week. It's just 10 questions, and it'll help you figure out where you're at, as far as being ready to accept prosperity into your life. Because one of the things that I learned is I had these really big goals, but I kept missing them. I would never get to that goal. And the reason behind that is because I really didn't believe that I deserved what I was shooting for. So this assessment is just going to be real quick, and it's going to give us an idea where you're at and where to go from here. Do the assessment, 10 questions. It'll tell you where you're at as far as being ready to accept prosperity into your life. And then after, you'll get a link to my calendar and you can book a time with me. We'll talk about the projects that you're working on right now, what you want to accomplish, and then we'll bridge the gap. Like you said, we'll figure
All
out what
right.
those next steps are for you to get what it is that you want. So you can be quickly on your way this year.
Nice, nice. All right, so together we can really help people change their trajectory of their careers. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes,
So, all right, good.
me too.
Music Legacy International.